The night Richard kissed me under the streetlights is carved into my skin like fire that never fades. And even now, years later, I still feel the heat of his hands every time the shadows of the city stretch long and the lamps flicker to life. I wasn't supposed to be there, and he wasn't supposed to follow me. Yet the truth is, I wanted him to. I wanted to feel the weight of his stare against the back of my neck, the restless rhythm of his footsteps closing in, the way he breathed like he was about to speak, but held back because words would betray what his heart had already decided. And when I finally turned around, the world hushed. No cars, no voices, only the hum of electricity above us, and Richard's eyes burning with something that could tear through every rule we had promised not to break. He looked like a storm barely held together. His white shirt clung to his chest from the humidity, sleeves rolled up in careless defiance, dark jeans grounding him in that magnetic way only he could carry. His hair, slightly wavy and untamed, fell just over his brow, and that stubble beard of his sharpened the ache in my chest. He wasn't trying to be devastating, but he was, and he knew it. My blazer felt heavy suddenly, too polished, too composed against the raw urgency in his stance. I felt stripped of my armor under his gaze, as if he had already taken me apart without lifting a hand. "Why are you following me, Richard?" My voice was steady, but my body betrayed me, a tremor running through my fingers even as I shoved them into my pockets. "Because you didn't wait," he answered, low and rough. "And you knew I wouldn't let you walk away." There was no distance between us then. The streetlight glowed above, catching the edge of his jaw, and for a moment he looked less like a man and more like something inevitable, like a truth I had been dodging too long. My pulse thundered, and even though I tried to glance away, his stare held me captive. "You said we shouldn't." I reminded him, words tight. "You said if we crossed that line, there'd be no turning back." His lips curved, but there was no humor. "And you believed me?" It was a challenge, a confession, and a warning all at once. And before I could answer, Richard stepped forward, closing the sliver of space like I had offended him. His hand brushed mine just a graze, but it was enough to make my heart lurch. The heat of his skin sparked through me, racing up my arm, stealing the air from my lungs. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. But I couldn't. Every part of me screamed the opposite, that I needed to know what his kiss tasted like, what his restraint had been hiding. My silence was permission, and Richard didn't hesitate again. His hands framed my jaw, rough but reverent, pulling me until my forehead collided with his. His breath was warm, uneven, tangled with mine, and then his lips, God, his lips, claimed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't cautious. It was everything he had locked away, breaking free in one violent, beautiful rush. His kiss was a storm, all-consuming, and I drowned willingly. My blazer crumpled under his grip as he tugged me closer, crushing the space between us until I felt every inch of him pressed into me. My hand fisted in his shirt, pulling him back when he tried to breathe, because I wasn't ready to let him go. Not when I had just tasted the thing we had been starving ourselves for so long. The streetlight above flickered, casting us in shadows, then gold, then shadows again, like even the city didn't know if it should bless us or hide us. His stubble scraped my skin as his mouth trailed to my jaw, down to my throat, leaving a trail of fire where no one else had ever dared. "Richard." His name spilled out of me like surrender. He stilled, his forehead pressing against my neck. "You drive me insane," he said, voice cracking. "Every time I tell myself to stop, to be better, you look at me and it's over. Do you understand? You ruin me." The words lodged in my chest, heavy and sweet, tearing me apart because they were mine too. I had been living in denial, convincing myself we were safe in silence, but here under the streetlights, nothing could hide. I tilted his face back up, staring into those storm-dark eyes, and whispered, "Then let me ruin you." His breath hitched, and then he kissed me again, harder, hungrier, like I had just given him permission to burn the world down. His hand slid around my waist, locking me against him, his strength wrapping around me like chains I didn't want to break. Every inhale was his, every exhale mine, our bodies learning a language words could never capture. The world narrowed to this. Richard's mouth moving against mine, the solid weight of his chest, the heat of his palm searing to the fabric of my shirt. He wasn't careful anymore. He didn't need to be. All that careful restraint had collapsed, and what was left was raw, undeniable desire. And God help me, I wanted all of it. We broke only when our lungs screamed. But even then his lips didn't leave me. He kissed my cheek, my temple, the edge of my ear, as though afraid I might vanish. And when he finally leaned back, chest heaving, his eyes searched mine like he was begging me not to regret this. I told you, he said softly, voice breaking on the edges. We shouldn't, but I can't stop. My hand stayed on his chest, feeling the wild rhythm of his heartbeat. Then don't. And just like that, the night became ours, reckless, forbidden, unforgettable. The walk back to his apartment was silent, but not empty. The silence was an absence. It was charged, alive, pulling tighter with every step as though the city itself held its breath. Streetlights stretched our shadows across the pavement, his figure brushing against mine, as if gravity had rewritten its rules to keep us tethered. He didn't hold my hand, but the space between our fingers hummed like he wanted to. When we reached his door, Richard paused, his key hovering the lock, his shoulders rising with a breath too heavy for something so simple. I watched his jaw tighten, that familiar struggle flickering across his face, the war between restraint and desire. You don't have to come in, he murmured, though his voice betrayed him. I know. I stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat of his body at my side. But I want to. That was all it took. The key turned, the door opened, and I followed him into the dim warmth of his apartment. The air inside smelled faintly of cedar and coffee, lived in and steady. So painfully Richard that my chest ached. He tossed his jacket over the arm of the couch, but when he turned back to me, he froze. I was just standing there in the soft glow of the lamp, blazer unbuttoned, tie loosened, my shirt clinging faintly to my chest from the heat of our walk. His gaze swept over me, not with lust alone, but with something heavier, something that made my pulse trip. You don't know what you're doing to me, he said finally, voice low, shaking at the edges. Then show me, I whispered. That snapped the last thread of restraint holding him. He crossed the room in 2 strides, hands gripping my shirt and pulling me in, his mouth claiming mine like it belonged there, like it had been waiting too long. I stumbled back against the wall with the force of him, his body pinning mine in place, his breath hot against my lips as he kissed me again and again, deeper each time. There was no distance left between us, no pretense. His stubble scraped against my clean-shaven skin, the contrast sharp and intoxicating. My hands roamed up his back, feeling the muscles tense and shift beneath his fitted shirt, while his palms pressed firmly against my waist, holding me in a cage I never wanted to escape. Richard, my voice broke against his mouth, the sound more a plea than a word. His reply came as his lips trailed down my jaw to the hollow of my throat. Say it again. Richard. I breathed, head tilting back, surrendering. His grip tightened, one hand sliding to the small of my back, pulling me flush against him. God, you have no idea how long I've wanted this. His voice vibrated against my skin, raw with confession. I think I do, I murmured, tugging at his shirt until it came untucked, my fingers brushing the warmth of his skin. He hissed at the contact, his body shuddering under my touch, and when I looked at him again, his eyes were dark, burning, stripped of every mask he wore in daylight. He kissed me again, slower this time, deliberate, as if memorizing me. His lips softened, his hands gentled, but the intensity didn't fade. It deepened. He pressed his forehead to mine, our breaths mingling in the silence. You're dangerous to me, he said softly. Then let me be, I whispered. Something broke in him then, not in weakness, but in surrender. He lifted me into his arms as if I weighed nothing, carrying me across the room before setting me down gently on the couch. He hovered above me, eyes searching mine, giving me one last chance to step back. I didn't. Instead, I reached up, pulling him down until our mouths collided again. Time blurred. Kisses became touches. Touches became confessions, and every moment unraveled us further. His shirt was half open, mine nearly the same, our clothes forgotten as skin finally met skin. Yet even in the heat, even in the urgency, there was tenderness. Every press of his lips, every sweep of his hands, was laced with reverence, as though he couldn't believe I was real in his arms. At some point, the world outside vanished. There were no streetlights, no city hum, just us tangled together, whispering each other's names like they were sacred. When the storm quieted, we lay side by side, breathless, our fingers entwined. The lamp cast us in soft gold, shadows playing across the curve of Richard's jaw, the rise of his chest as he heaved with every breath. I turned to him, watching his eyes half closed but still locked on me, as if he feared I might disappear the second he blinked. "Do you regret it?" I asked quietly. His hand tightened around mine. "Never, but I'm terrified of what it means." I swallowed hard, my chest tight. "It means we stop pretending." Richard exhaled long and shaky before pulling me closer, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Then God help me, I'll never let you go." And in that moment, under the dim lamp instead of streetlights, I believe him. The city could have crumbled, the world could have shifted, but nothing would erase the truth of what happened that night. Richard kissed me, claimed me, and somewhere deep inside, I knew I'd always be his.